Alrighty, guys, and that was Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I hope y'all enjoyed the journey. I know I did, and I hope y'all enjoyed watching it as much as I did doing it for y'all. And for the game, oh man, when did this game come out? What was it? What it feels like 2015, 2016, 2017 maybe? I don't know. Somewhere around there I feel. Because the first game I know came back out like I think it was what, 2013? But yeah, oh man. What a game. I mean, it's such a good game. It was such a good trilogy in my opinion. It was Lara's character development from the first game, the second game, and here in the third game. I mean, it was so good. And Jonah goes from basically just being like the galley master and the cook in the first game to kind of retconned into like the best friend role after what happened in one of the comics or whatever with Sam and all that. I don't know if they couldn't get Sam's VA back or whatever, or if there was, contract deal differences or whatnot, development issues or whatever. But Jonah gets kind of retconned into the best friend role. Whereas in the first game, it's obviously that's Sam's role. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah, like Laura. Her journey, what kind of sets her off, and looking into Trinity and all that, kind of, being her dad's, her dad getting taken out, being Lord Croft and all that. And, and her finding out that it was Dominguez who ordered it. And, and it was, someone, and it wasn't just someone who worked in Trinity who did it, but it was someone who knew her dad. Just that scene where Dominguez tells Laura, and you just hear it in Laura's voice in that moment, and she's just like, she's just devastated, as just about anyone would, and as anyone would be, and just oh man, it was just such an emotional roller coaster this trilogy has been. And oh man, it's so good in my opinion. It was really solid. Um, I mean, what else can it really be say about it? One thing though, I feel, why is there so many weapons in the game? I mean, yeah, that's one thing. It's like, why is there so many guns and bows and shotguns? Why is there so many of them? Because in the first game, it felt like there was just enough guns and bows and shotguns and pistols. It felt like there was just enough upgrades in the game to feel like, hey, this next gun you're gonna get, it is an objective improvement on whatever you were previously using. But with Rise and Shadow to an even greater extent, the game really kind of like about to the midway point, and even more so in the later parts of the game, they just open up the floodgates to you and they just throw weapon after weapon at you, and there's so many different guns, and it feels like they were trying to cover all bases, and they really wanted to give the players a little bit of everything. Whereas, I mean, you really only need, like, you could cut out maybe 70% of the weapons, because I mean and I feel, and why I feel there's so many weapons is they added a lot higher difficulties. And but in my opinion, on the higher difficulties, you'd want a silenced weapon like there are. I mean, there's silenced shotguns. I mean, the main shotgun we used for basically the entire game was the silenced shotgun. And once we got the silenced pistol, we didn't take the suppressor off basically. And we used pretty much like the silenced assault rifle from like the midway point in the game onward. It's like there is no other reason not to use basically any other weapon unless playing on the higher difficulties, it adds like extra headshot damage or whatever. But it's like, even then, it's like, wouldn't most people prefer like a silent stealth weapon versus a weapon with higher damage? Like, because why risk ruining your stealth if you're gonna alert everyone in, like, everyone within 30 feet of you of a stealth engagement versus quietly maneuvering your way and using traps and molotovs and thrown objects, and going a stealthy silent approach by using silencers and your bow versus, going for that highest possible damage and just hoping that you can outmaneuver everyone. But yeah, I mean, that's just my opinion on why there's so many weapons. They were just trying to cover all the bases, where it feels like, just having the normal weapon progression, like starting pistol, shotgun, and assault rifle, and having natural progressions of objectively better weapons, and then having silenced weapons, but maybe having the downside be, obviously they won't do as much damage as the highest possible damage one, but they'll obviously be silenced, and it'll be a lot harder to alert everyone in a combat encounter if you're trying to go stealthy. But that's just my thoughts and my opinions on the weapons. And the armor, it kind of feels like, for all the armor that provides bonuses and all that, it kind of feels like that they kind of did the same thing with the armor, kind of the full body armors and the ones that are craftable. And I think the craftable ones, I thought those ones were really cool, really unique, something worth collecting and trying to find them all, and kind of, kind of mix and matching different armors for whatever difficulty you're on, or just, going for like a fashion raider, trying to see what kind of, looks the best on Lara and what have you. But yeah, as far as like map design goes, I feel like, the map and world design is it's pretty consistent throughout all three games. Obviously the first one being a lot smaller, with it being, an island, and it being, obviously like an island, and it not really having large open areas that you can go to. Well, at least not a whole lot of them. There are some of them. And then obviously with Rise of the Tomb Raider, it got a lot bigger, more budget, more development time, and all of that. And here with the third game, when I first played it, it felt, once I'd gotten up to a point where I had gotten to when I first played it originally, back when it first came out, it had felt it felt very natural, and it didn't really throw you into a giant open world that kind of gradually guided you down that path, and it doesn't really open up to you a whole lot until you get to Paititi. It's really kind of on the rails, guided experience, and I feel like that really helps the pacing of this game, because it really doesn't open up to you in a large open zone until you make it to Paititi. And that's like, unless you're beelining main story, which I mean, you kind of have to. But if you're doing all the little side stuff, going in all the little challenge tombs and all the little caves and crypts, and hunting animals for either hides, XP, or crafting materials or outfits, then I mean, it won't take you that long once you get to the jungle to get to Paititi, if you're just gunning to get to Paititi as quickly as you can. Really, the only major obstacle is really the jaguars. Is the first one, is the ones, it's really only the jaguars are really the only quote unquote roadblock in your journey to getting to the hidden city. And those Trinity soldiers who had the APC or whatever outside of the normal village. But yeah, I mean, but it's in my opinion, it's a fairly well paced experience story wise. And for the side missions, I think they do a really good job at dulling out all the side content as well, all the extra stuff. And I feel though some of the side missions really could have been main story missions, from kind of just how either they kind of help fill in the lore of Paititi or Etzli or Uniratu or Amaru, or kind of like or just the village itself. It's like, hey, like some of the missions with Uchu, or that other girl who sends you to go after the shield, the Age Maker shield. It really felt like some of those missions really could have been main story missions, and I really can't think of a good reason why they weren't. The only thing that may have been that it may have just been a pacing issue or something. I don't know, but whatever the reason was, I mean, I'm sure the devs had their reasonings, but it just, some of those felt like they really should have been main story missions, in my opinion. But as for like the secret, enemy faction, the Yakshil, I guess, they're not really enemies in this one, the third game. I thought that too was a really nice, awesome twist. That I thought they were really cool, and as them kind of being the guardians of the box and of the knife and all of that. And and they kind of hold um the individuals responsible, like with the Crimson Fire and with Queen on the route to her promise of restoring the sun and all that. I thought that was really cool. And the last mission we have in the game, it will involve the Yakshil and Abby and the other girl. Oh, I can't remember her name. I think it started with a Q. But yeah, the girl who sent us after the Age Maker's shield. She'll be involved with them with the Yakshil, and that will be our last mission. But yeah, with that, guys, I mean, please, if y'all have made it this far, please tell me if I left a good review or not of the game. Still, trying to get my thoughts and opinions together on some of these older games I've played and giving concise reviews. But with that, guys, we are going to skip the remaining credits and see where the game puts us. And I just love that little bit there at the end with all the mementos from the past games, and we see Laura's butler and all that. A nice little epilogue. But with that, guys, I will see you guys in the next episode.